And what keeps you here in Summit County?
I love it here.
I enjoy Summit County because it's quiet. It's a great place to live. Everybody is very friendly, welcoming, and I never want to leave.
I've been a physician here for 45 years. You know, I've helped in some ways develop the medical community from a small ski clinic up into the medical facility that we have. I helped serve on the committee that helped set up the hospital, and I continue to work in the community care clinic that we set up to serve people, especially people who are less able to afford medical care in the county. And I hope in all of those ways it's sort of helped people, you know, live here and help make the county what it is.
I've been a physical therapist for over 40 years in the Front Range, Denver, Vail Valley, and Summit County. My experience has been working mostly with seniors my whole career. Been on a foundation and a program helping people with MS in the Vail Valley, and former executive director of Timberline Adult Day here at Frisco.
We've had our business here in Summit County for 35 years. It's a family business, was started by my father. It's not something that I'm willing to want to have to give up because of the reason we don't have facilities here and I can't have my care here.
Well, it would certainly be a financial burden if I had to leave Summit County. And also I would be probably fairly depressed about the fact that I could no longer stay here because I was not able to.
Am I scared if something were to happen to me? It would be scary because I see the toll that it takes on the other family members when somebody is sick and in a facility, because those family members go living their lives, and it's not that they don't care about you, they just do. And so they don't get to frequent and see the family members that are kind of tucked away. If they were closer, they would be able to see them more often.
I'm definitely afraid of the future of mine as I get older. I noticed that there still is no care facility here for 50 years. And, you know, it does cross my mind that I am soon going to have to probably do the same, sell my business, sell my home, and leave the place I love.
As we get older, we'd love to live in Summit County, but if there are accommodations, it's a huge gap that we have seen in our county in particular versus where my parents live back east. There's a multitude of facilities of different tiers that they could move into, whereas there's a big giant void here in our own community, sadly.
If I needed to leave the county when I get older, it would be very difficult for me because I'd miss the lifestyle that I've had all of these years. I'd miss my friends here. I do have family elsewhere, but whether or not they could take care of me or not, I don't know. So I think as I age, if I got to the point where I needed a lot of assistance or developed some kind of health problems that required me to go to a lower altitude, I might have to leave the county, and I would dread that. If I had the opportunity to stay here, even with extra help, if the right living facility was available, I would certainly take part of that and would find that much more to my liking than having to leave the county. I think the fear of having to leave the county, if necessary, causes a lot of people a lot of anxiety. Some people have close relatives at a lower altitude that would probably make that a lot more easier. But even those who do have a lot of close friends up here.
Frank Walter was a neighbor of mine at Copper Mountain. He was a resident of Copper Mountain for over 30 years. And Frank and I were neighbors, and I was introduced to him to be a caregiver and physical therapist. Many people in Summit County know Frank Walter as a skiing legend at Copper Mountain. He was an inspiration to many people, and I am very blessed to have known Frank and be his caregiver and physical therapist for 5 years. I'm sad to say that Frank passed away March of 2020, unrelated to COVID, but he was a example of longevity. He lived his life to the fullest, was active, and loved Summit County. And all his friends, his support system, his church was all here in the county.
My mother-in-law, well, she lived with us for 17 years, and then she fell on our front steps and tried to catch herself on her ankle and broke all of her ankle bones, and that was just a game changer because we have stairs in our house and she has to be on flat ground. And so my husband was able to get her into the Evergreen Life Care Center, but that was a whole process as well after her surgery and going through that. And now she's starting to go backwards a little bit just because she's getting older, and she's been alone in her own room, and I think that's been difficult because it's hard for family to get there to see her. It was definitely difficult for her to leave the county because she had goats. We have land over in Fairplace, so she would just drive over and take care of all of her goats and visit her friends and hang out and then come back, and that was incredibly hard because that was just poof, gone.
My mother had a stroke. She was flight for life down to Denver. She was down there for 15 days. In the meantime, I had to shut my business because I was driving 5 hours a day to go and be by her side. I just think that, it's so important to have a facility here that can be a bridge in between a hospital and a rehab or a nursing facility here. It'd be so much easier on families. I have to say it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
We have had participants at Timberline Adult Day Program that eventually need memory care facility. And we've had a number of families that have spent decades living up here. They work up here, they retire here, and eventually their loved one needs to be placed in a memory care facility. And unfortunately, as we all know here in Summit County, there are no such facilities and services. And so we've unfortunately had wonderful participants have to go down the hill, as we say, where there are different housing, senior housing and services like memory care available.
Staying in Summit is a committee of people. We're trying to create assisted living, memory care, maybe some independent living for people such as myself or other people as they age that may have to leave their homes, just live out the last days of their lives up here and not have to worry about moving away or being a burden on their children if they don't want to be. So that's basically what we're about.
Well, I think what could be provided in county for care would be for folks who are older that need mobility services, for instance, being able to be driven around the county, other types of health care that might be needed as well, that would enable folks to, as they age, to stay in the county, as opposed to having to leave the county to go elsewhere for that type of care. And any type of assisted living facilities would be a great benefit in the county. Again, so people who are not able to necessarily live by themselves would have an environment, a community-based environment, with the type of health care needed to let them stay in the county as they age.
I think if we need one desperately. People need the option. Option is a key word. That may not be the answer for everybody. I'm very fortunate. At the moment, I don't need to sleep with oxygen. And I know that that's a problem with some people. But remember, in senior housing now, you can build bedrooms and rooms with oxygen already built in.
The people that live in Summit County that have helped build our community have nowhere to go if they want to stay, or if one of their spouses should get sick, they're forced to leave the county. The big argument is a lot of people say, well, they can't breathe anymore. That is true in some cases, but it's not true for everybody. And I understand that affordable housing is an issue as well. So what we're thinking about with staying in Summit is possibly a multi-generational facility situation at campus with both young and old. Most people, the main reason they love it here in Summit County is because of community. And when people are isolated or forced to leave and start a new life somewhere else, and they're away from their family, their friends, their activities, the beautiful mountains, they get depressed and then their life ends quicker than it should.
I honestly think that I'm only going to be able to stay in this county with my own health issues. You know, I'm lucky to get another 10 years up here if we don't get some help up here and start getting facilities to help us. You know, we have to go for specialists down in Denver as it is. We do have some that come up here, but it's temporary. We're a big county now. We're a big place now, and we should have the facilities to do this. Grand County, which is a much smaller place, they have facilities. Why doesn't Summit County?
I feel like the altitude can affect a lot of people, and I've seen that over the years, even with people who've lived here all their life. Some of them just develop problems that they must leave the altitude for health reasons, but a lot of people don't have to. And I think that while oxygen is a consideration even for people who require some minor oxygen supplementation, if we had a facility that would support them in the other ways they need to be supported, they could live here very well. In fact, I think the vast majority of seniors probably could do that.
Assistance for the elderly and assisted living or other types of facilities, I think would be something which should be near the top of the list, because again, you want to keep those types of individuals around. They're the ones that really, provide so much to the county from volunteering and helping with nonprofits, and their experience really brings a lot to bear in the county. It's really helping it thrive, I think, going forward.
We just need to have a sense of community where they can stay and not feel like you have to leave at some point in your life as you get older. Shouldn't be that way.
I truly believe there is a need for adults with disabilities and dementia to be able to stay here in Summit County.
I'd like to stay here the rest of my life if I could. Whether that's possible depends on a lot of things and depends on my health as I get older. Right now, I don't have any problems that would make me have to leave the county, and I would certainly want to stay here until the end if I can.
I love where I live. I love my friends. I love everything about it, and I can't see myself going backwards and going to Denver ever.
I'd be heartbroken if I had to leave the county, the place that makes my heart sing, the place that makes me most happy, that I still get excited if it's a good snow day or if it's a beautiful summer day. I'd really be heartbroken to have to leave the place that means so much to me and where I raised my family and that we love collectively.
I think the thing I love most about Summit County is, well, nature, of course. You're in God's country. But the people. There's a core community here of people that will do whatever they have to do to help you. If you go to a big city, if I get moved to a big city, you don't have that kind of community there. You just don't. I feel very blessed to be living up here and living here for 50 years. I just hope I can continue to.